working with the local church to take the hope of Christ to every student in the United States. This is First Priority. Now here are your hosts, Steve Cherico and Brad Skelling.
Welcome back, everybody, to the First Priority Codcast.
My name is Scad Skelling.
I have had multiple meetings today, but I am glad to be here.
Gosh, let's try again. Take
Okay. Welcome to the First Priority Podcast, everybody. My name is Brad Skelling.
Yes, it is.
And I'm here with my good friend, Steve Cherico.
Ooh, good friend today. Not
Good
friend of me.
Hey, I have heard in
Good
the world
friend.
of First Priority, there is doubts whether we like each other, so I am laying it on the line.
my
This is
word.
my good friend, Steve Cherico,
Oh, and the lies abound.
who also knows my good friend, Larry Franks.
Yep.
And they are all going to be at the Align 2024 event in
Soon.
Franklin, Tennessee
Soon.
in October. Registration is live. We're jumping right into announcements.
Come on.
And you should register. If you're involved with First Priority at all, come hang out with us because it's a better time than this podcast.
It's going to be good.
The bar is low with how good a time this podcast is, but
My
it is a
word.
better time than this podcast.
Who lets you have a mic today? Dear Lord.
Did I mention I've had a lot of meetings
Yes,
today?
you have.
We're having fun.
What else we got going on?
It's a new year.
It is.
It's the school
About time school has started.
clubs, First Priority clubs. have
Let's
started.
go. I like it.
I
You
know.
Go ahead.
I mean, it doesn't matter where you are. People are surprised by what's happening because, well, if you're in South Mississippi or East Tennessee, you're surprised that people don't start school until Labor Day.
Oh, there you go.
But if you live in Michigan or Cincinnati, you're surprised that clubs started in July
Yeah.
in South Mississippi and East
Yeah.
Tennessee. So it depends on where you are. You're surprised, but clubs have started
Which is awesome.
because it's August, and it is super awesome. There
We're
are
get-
clubs
we're getting
all over the
reports.
place.
We're
We're
getting
getting.
reports.
We're going to start getting reports.
No, we are already.
We are already?
Nashville is.
Nice.
We already got reporting
because you're
happening.
in the new app,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see everything.
We already got
live.
reporting happening.
Mm-hmm. And it's awesome.
It is fun.
It is very fun. If you're not up on the app, give it a try. Pilot it somewhere. Get going. Get your club registered because it's fun.
It is.
But before we really kick into the new reporting,
Okay.
just looking at the old reporting, we've had this sitting here for a little while, but Tri-County, Kentucky,
Tim Bargo.
Tim Bargo last year, 242 salvations,
Come on, man.
right? 65 churches involved, 36 clubs,
Love that.
827 student leaders. There's 18,500 students walking the halls of those 36 schools, trying to reach every one of them.
It's a perfect size chapter.
It is. It's
I love
great.
that.
They gave away 938 Bibles.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
Phew.
It's
Praise
super
God.
fun to
Good
keep
for you.
track
That's
of all
a
that kind of stuff.
Great story to start the new year with.
Those things tie it together because you're talking about reporting coming in as clubs are meeting
Uh-huh.
in the app. You're seeing those things. I didn't mean to plug the app in this little thing, but
The
you can
First
see
Priority
it
Club
in
app.
the First Priority Club app.
Okay, just checking.
It's either red or blue. I forget. I mean,
Starts blue.
starts blue.
It does.
Once you download it, you can switch it to red.
You can.
But first, if you type First Priority or First Priority Club in your
App Store.
you'll be able to download that. You'll become a pending user. You have to enter your phone number. If you're a student and you don't have a phone, go beg your parents for a phone because I love it when my middle school kid does that to me.
Yep.
But your parents can sign up for you. Then you can log in with your email address, and we can move things down the road.
For all of us that are hood rats from the 90s, we're trying to figure out which one Bloods or Crips. For all of you political people with the presidency coming up, you're trying to figure out.
Over in my chair.
I couldn't help myself.
Oh my goodness.
You'll outtake
I had a
That'd be
long day.
amazing.
In other news,
In
ladies,
other
and
news.
ladies and gentlemen.
That's fantastic.
Oh, we just need to let these things run.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Tayana will fix whatever she needs to there.
Nothing is necessary to fix. We'll be good.
So, in real news, besides
news.
my ridiculousness,
Yes.
so that club app
Mm-hmm.
leads us to today's discussion, I believe.
Yeah, we're wrapping up our summer series talking about Epic and just getting into the nitty-gritty details of the Epic manual that is out there and all the things. I mean, I don't even remember all the things, but there's a lot of things that we dig into with the Epic manual,
Correct.
printed guide. If you're using the Epic manual that's fresh, new this fall from First Priority, You can get on firstpriority.club. You can order that.
Roots.
Epic Roots. It's if you're a staff member, it's in the Google. It's on the website.
Yep.
You can go to firstpriority.club/epic. Go find Roots. It's in there.
Yep.
If you're not, it doesn't matter which version of Hope or Epic you're using. These roles are largely the same.
Correct.
Guys, whether you're a club coach or a student leader or a teacher sponsor, yeah, it's there.
Which,
So,
by the way, if you're a club coach or a teacher sponsor or a student leader, thanks for your part.
yeah,
Big deal. You're a big deal.
I'm excited about how God's going to use you this year
Exactly right.
to change the life of a student.
Exactly right. So let's talk about
Or
the
more
roles.
than
Get
one
in a little
student.
bit. Come on.
Well, we talked about, we listed the 3 already. So
Okay.
let's start with club coaches.
Okay.
Yep. That is a crucial role. That club coach sets the tone for the year. They are training, equipping saints for works of service, really leading that first priority club so that these student leaders have the tools, the resources, tools being even the gospel, because many Christian students have never had the words of Jesus come out of their mouth before. So they may have gone to church their whole life, but let's give them the tools they need to speak the name of Jesus in their club. And so, yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. We can get into details. You want to get into some
Well,
details?
I think you need to talk about the fact that as an adult coached, student led club,
Mm-hmm.
without the adult coach, it's not that the club can't operate. It certainly can.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have 2 teams on the field and one has someone who has perspective
Mm-hmm.
and has played the game a long time and can pause things and help ball players, let's just do ball players, grow,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Versus the other team that doesn't. I know which team I want.
Mm-hmm.
My money's on the team that's got somebody that's like, hey, I'm not putting the helmet on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not picking up the bat.
Yeah.
But I am going to help you understand what it looks like to be fully developed and fully walk in the gifts that God has given you
Yep.
in order to lead this movement on your campus.
Yep.
All right, we've talked over and over again about how the club idea is just about getting students together to focus in on the gospel.
That's right.
And the coach keeps it focused.
That's right. They do. And there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, practically speaking, being a coach doesn't have to take that much time, right?
Nope.
But you do need to show up early,
Yep.
stay late kind of mentality, right?
Yep.
Walk into the school grounds with gentleness and respect. Whatever your school rules are,
That's right.
if you need to get fingerprinted and background checked, there's some schools that, yeah, you get pretty strict. Others are still open, but walk into there. It doesn't matter if you're open or not. Walk in, greet the people, sign
Exactly
in.
right.
Yeah, because you're representing Jesus from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what the principal's gone through that day.
And thank
Right.
God that they question why you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
In the day and age we live, it's a compliment.
Yep,
Oh, good question.
that's right. That's right.
I get the good fortune of being, I get to, not got to, Chris
Mhm.
Lane. I
Yep.
get to serve a bunch of students. Let's talk
Mhm.
about what that looks like.
That's right.
How can I make sure that I get to serve you along the way
Yep.
and follow your rules and regulations,
Mm-hmm.
which
That's
are
right.
there for the good of everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Like it.
And how can we, as the body of believers, serve this school in a tangible way? We
Yeah,
obviously believe that that happens through the First Priority Club, right?
Yeah.
Bringing light into darkness, spiritual.
Correct.
We hear that often, but there's physical ways we can as well. And just being there and encouraging the principal and being that light is a good thing.
Yeah. I apologize for talking over you. What I was going to say is the other neat thing is, and you kind of jumped on it, is the other peripheral things that the coach gets to do, right? As you build relationship, you always say the more people you know,
Mm-hmm.
the more people you know,
Mhm.
right? So as
Yep.
you build those relationships and you key in on that, yeah, you're there for a thing, but what you're going to do is end up serving the community
Yep.
because you're going to build relationships with multiple layers of people that are on the campus,
Mm-hmm.
which is a gift to your local church. Like
Yep.
this is not just about the students at that moment.
Yep.
This is about being part of the community that you've already been put in.
Mm-hmm.
By the grace of God, you get to serve there. And here's another layer of that where you get
Yep.
to build relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, as a club coach, yeah, ensure the club stays true to our mission, vision, strategy. Just being there, helping those kids work. I go back to what I said earlier already. You are the coach for the students. And I'm going to get on a half of a soapbox here to say, hey, these kids, they're middle school. They don't know how to lead, or they're high schoolers and they don't really, they're not mature believers yet, or whatever the case might be. And I'll say, you speaking to them some more, might influence their life, but you getting them to speak to you and their students will help you understand where their heart really is at.
Yeah.
Right? If you hear the words come out of their mouth and what's coming out of their mouth is legalism or is judgment or is whatever, then you're like, that's your true discernment and ability to see the fruit of what how they've grown in Christ, right? Is when the words come out of their mouth and it's filled with the grace of Jesus and the truth of Jesus, both we speak in grace and truth and right, mercy and love. That's when you really understand if they are a true disciple. Is when you by the tongue, the heart speaks. So encouraging you, how can I encourage you as a club coach is to take those risks and to challenge those students to get up there and to be light in a dark world.
Which is big risk.
It's huge risk.
Yep.
Because it can cause chaos.
Yep.
But chaos is where the grace of God happens most of the time. At least that's what happens in my life.
Correct. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next role.
Faculty sponsor.
Yep.
You
I
wanna
like
go?
them.
You
I
wanna
like
go?
them.
You
Well,
wanna
this
talk
this
about
is
that a little
the
bit?
this is the safety officer. This is the person that makes sure that we're following the rules and regulations because they know them.
Yep.
They've been trained on them.
Yep.
This is the person who already knows the students probably better than you do as the coach on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe over time not, but on the front end, this person is aware of all of the paperwork that's gone in to get this student into their classroom.
Yeah.
Right. And so the faculty takes a big risk and says, hey, I'm going to open up my classroom to you as you lead a non-curriculum club. So the faculty sponsors are big. Now, I think one of the things I love about the faculty sponsors is the ones that are there grading papers, pretending like they're not listening.
Mm-hmm.
And then every once in a while, a student will say, hey, Mrs. Bell, what do you think of? Oh, I'm
Yep.
so glad you asked.
Yeah.
I actually was fully paying attention in there. And so you find the faculty sponsors want to play a greater role, but they understand what their role is.
Yep.
And it's really helpful to the club because they obviously have to have it.
Yeah. It's true. And they help the students as well to know and follow the rules of the school, where they can hang posters up, when they can make announcements. If the club gets too big for the room, trying to help them find a new room and figuring that out as well. Because just because you're meeting over lunch in the English classroom doesn't mean that the bigger room is open, right?
Yeah.
So I think of the teachers that have been around through my years at Summit High School. We usually meet in their room, and that's convenient. But as soon as you're moving to the auditorium over lunch, the auditorium might not be open, and you might have to switch times. But helping navigate those things, and even predicting the future, as far as, hey, this Wednesday it's homecoming week, and there's a parade on Wednesday after school, so we're done at 2:00, which means lunch is at 9:30 in the morning instead, which happens, right?
It does.
Staying ahead of the game to help the club meet effectively, and so that we don't just miss a week randomly in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, and some faculty feel real burdened to do things like the attendance and like keeping track of numbers, and others are like, hey, I'm giving you what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've got is space
Yep.
and the ability to be here working on other stuff so that things are available for you to do this club.
Yep.
But you've got others. I mean, we've got faculty that are like, hey, we're 3 deep.
Mm-hmm.
Can we serve cookies? Can we, we're not going to speak and teach. We're not going to do all those things that we've asked them not to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we do want to be a part and interactive with the students because I was talking to a director of schools yesterday over lunch.
Yeah.
And we were laughing about how much teachers do in the classroom that has nothing to do with teaching. Right? They're playing the parent role at moments.
Yes.
They're doing those things. So the ability for them to actually have a moment of joy and relationship with students and feel like, hey, I'm just getting to know them.
Yep.
I'm not having to cross lines or cross T's and dot I's and all those things, right? They're actually getting to just interact with students. Often brings a joy that they don't get otherwise.
That's right. It's a good word. I like it.
Faculty sponsors, big deal.
They are a big deal. Any encouragement?
Man. I mean, who's Charles Barkley says there's 5 real jobs. There's 5 real jobs in America, right? And one of those is a teacher. The rest of us all have cush jobs. And like I just said, again, talking to the administrator yesterday, the reality is you're working one of those jobs that you'll never get paid enough. You'll never get thanked enough. But what you are doing. I still remember my fourth grade teacher's name. In fact, I remember all my teachers' names, but I remember the few things that they said
Yep.
that impacted who I am now.
Yep.
So that's a big deal. You're a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Don't get discouraged by the lack of accolades, but keep giving the kids who don't have accolades the accolades that you desire, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good word.
Okay.
Thanks for what you do.
Last one.
Student leaders.
Do we need those?
No.
Okay.
We can get by without them.
Okay.
Okay, fine. We need student leaders.
All right, good. Thank you.
They are the bread and butter of First Priority.
All right, just checking.
They're the basis of our ability to be in the school through the Equal Access Act because they have equal access.
But a middle school student can't share the gospel.
Says who?
Exactly.
That's right.
I've heard it.
Nobody's asked them to share the gospel.
Nobody's trained them to share the gospel.
So they haven't until you do. We should just end it there.
We should.
That was profound. Student leader roles.
I was just going to ask you.
Promote and communicate the club's mission. Act as the point person. Am I reading the right thing?
You're
For
not.
school announcements, posters, media.
You're talking about promotion. Promoters.
Oh, yeah, they're the promo role. So there's several roles. I just jumped right in.
You did.
Promotion is a role where they promote and communicate the club's mission. They're the point person for announcements.
Which is no
posters,
different
media.
than the cheerleading club, right? They want to make posters.
Booster
They want
club.
to tell the stories. They want to get people there.
Yep.
And so they're out there figuring out what's okay to put up, what's not. Let's make a big poster about it and let's rock.
So right out of the get-go, what we're saying is a student leader isn't always the one who is speaking in front of the club.
No, I didn't say that.
Because this person isn't speaking in front of the club.
Oh, a student leader is doing other things.
They're
I got
doing
it.
other
I thought
things.
you were going another direction, but there
No.
you go. I'm with you.
They're doing other things.
They are.
They could be the host.
They could.
They could be the one with the gift of hospitality. Yes.
I just got in trouble with Tayana for clapping in the microphone.
Right?
Yep.
Making the room feel welcome.
Yep.
Having fresh cookies on platters. Making it smell good.
I can smell them.
Right? Having some music playing. High-fiving people at the door. Maybe you need 12 people to be the host because you got the DJ doing the mix. You got the kids at the door doing the high five. You know that crazy boy that annoys everybody? That kid standing at the door high-fiving everybody because he has too much energy?
Yep.
Yep, that's a student leader right there.
Yeah, I like it.
He's a First Priority Club leader.
I like it.
Maybe they introduce the speaker. They don't do the speaking. They just say, hey, here's Steve Jericho. What?
You had a lot of meetings today.
I did have a lot of meetings
exactly right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you've got the person that's up there making everybody feel like they're a part,
Yeah,
right? They're okay with being up there being a little bit of a clown.
that's right. That's right. But then you do have the one.
Yeah.
You do have the one who is the speaker.
Yep.
Right? Who you engage. You said and again, we started there as well. So we said there's not many middle school kids who have the ability to talk about Jesus, right?
Yeah.
But you really only need one.
Correct.
You need one a week who you can train and equip and build into and say, here is the Epic Guide. Can you speak this back to me?
Here's a plan to follow.
Plan to follow.
Yep.
In the planning meeting, I remember I always go back to Corey Bendix. Sitting there, we were at his house. He was
Corey Bendix.
He was having the planning meeting at his house, and I mean, my kid was sitting there, and I would assume that he would need some training and equipping there, but Aaron Hicks didn't, but Corey didn't know Aaron, like I knew Aaron, and so he's sitting there like, "Can you do this?" And Aaron's like, "What do you mean? Can I do this? Why wouldn't I be able to do this? I'm a preacher's kid. Of course I can do this, right?"
Yep.
And obviously he didn't say it that way, but
No, but
Corey spent the 10, 15, 20 minutes asking him a question. Tell me what you'd say to this. And Aaron would repeat it. And Corey's like, this kid's amazing.
Yep.
Right. And he did it, and he prepared, and he trained him, and they built a rapport, and Aaron led a lot of meetings through those years for the First Priority Club.
Yep.
Yeah.
Other roles?
Follow up.
I was just going to ask.
Mm-hmm. So Invite Week or Engage Week, if you're running Hope, is the thing we think about, that meeting we think about the most when we talk about follow-up, right? Because there's a response card, there's a tangible box that is checked. You can lay those down and say, hey, Steve, you invited Johnny. Will you follow up with him before the day is out, and talk to him about his decision that he made? He checked the box. Go find out what he meant. What's God doing in his life?
And let's jump on a minute, right?
Okay.
So we very clearly have stated in here, and will again, the cards don't bring anybody to Christ.
Correct.
The cards are built so that students can go back to students that say, I have more questions. I've made a decision. Well, good. The card didn't do that.
Yep.
You made a decision,
Yep.
right? But it gives us the ability to empower students. Hey, you invited them. You need to go before we get back together again
Yep.
and have a moment of follow-up.
Yep.
Did you mean it? Was it just about Chick-fil-A breakfast? Like,
That's right.
what was it, right?
Yep.
What really went on there? It's the discussion after the discussion, which often is better
Yep.
than the 25-minute party that we threw,
Yeah.
right? The follow-up discussion of, I do think I mean it, but I don't know what I meant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, right? So great. Let's stink and go with what we do from follow-up there. And
That's
follow-up includes helping them find a place where they can learn more in a local church. It includes reminding them, hey, that club wasn't a one-off.
That's right.
Next week, we show up and that group of Christians you saw who are all following up. They're all trying to figure it out. They're going to be in the room together again.
That's right.
We're going to talk about Jesus again.
Yep.
There's enough about him that we can talk every week during this club time and we'll not get to the bottom of it.
Yep.
It's a great process.
Right.
But follow-up's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And on those off weeks, when you don't have the card, what I will say is find the kid with empathy and discernment who can read a room, right? And put that kid in charge of reading the room while the speaker is speaking, and go put a hand on somebody's shoulder who needs a hand. If somebody is, most meetings, it's probably middle of the day or early morning, and there might not be a lot to read.
Yeah.
But when those God moments happen and you can read a room and you can say, hey, I need to put my hand on your shoulder and hey, what's going on? What's happening in your life?
You've brought up a really good point. Some of the roles are not definable by an action point. Some of the roles are definable by training a student to shut their mouth and listen,
Yep.
to open their eyes and look for things that are out of place,
Yep.
that are kind of obvious if you just pause and look. Like those are intangible giftings that any business leader would want their future business person that's working for them, their future
Yep.
employee to have.
Yep.
Right? The ability to walk in a room and go, oh, I can read this.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of awkwardness right now.
Correct.
How can I break down some of these barriers one by one by one? Right? Well, those are practiced things.
Well,
Those are
and
trainable things.
And you're going down two different directions. You're reading a room to try and identify students who need a conversation
Yeah.
or some prayer or
Yeah.
a hand, a hug, whatever. And then you have the reading a room to say, this meeting was awkward.
Yeah.
And in our next planning meeting, we need to address that so
Yeah.
that we don't continue to plan awkwardness
Yep.
in our future meetings. So
Yep.
there's both and the pastoral side of it and the leadership development
Yep.
side of that.
But both are
discernment.
coaching.
They are coaching. Yep. Yep. And you have these kids sitting there already with these gifts and abilities.
Yep.
They need to just see it.
Yep.
We hear it often in this generation and all generations that these kids don't know how to lead. Well, but they do know how to do stuff. So if you tell them, hey, will you stand at the door and high five people? There are going to be some awkward kids who you assign to stand at the door and high five people.
Yeah.
You say, get this kid, hey, can you read the room? You just sit in the back corner, watch the room. How are people reacting? How are they interacting? And some people aren't going to pick up on nothing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But some kids will, and you'll learn these student gifts. And over the course of the year, if you're a brand new club coach or a teacher sponsor or a staff member, you'll learn these things and be able to coach these kids into their giftings that God's already given to them.
And then you think about the great trifecta of all three of the roles that you've talked about today, right? And how they are such a good harmony with one another. Because you got the non-employee there to be a coach, there to be a service. You got the employee who's the person who's got that side of the perspective. And then you got the student who's right in between the two of them trying to lead this thing. It's a really sweet harmony.
It is. I wish I could say it was our design, but just how it works.
Works out good.
It works out very well. Well, I hope this conversation was beneficial to our listening audience. Thanks for listening in again today. If you have questions, comments, snide remarks, the snide remarks, Steve at fpofamerica.com.
fpofamerica.com.
The other one's Brad at fpofamerica.com. I will probably forward your email to Christina, Janice, Tayana, Grace, Susan,
The office.
the office,
To
answer your questions because they're experts on all things First Priority. But would love to answer your questions. I would love to create a topic for our next
engage conversations,
and we can go from there. So thanks for listening. Hope you're having a great week. Hope your club is launching well, and we'll see you again next time.